What's the one thing we all need, we don't get enough of, and when we do get it, it turns out we don't want it at all? The answer is feedback. In order to have effective feedback conversations, we need to understand why feedback is so important and why it's so difficult to receive positively. So let's start with why it's so important. In 1982, a plane crashed into the Potomac River, carrying 78 people. They all died. Now, the official cause of that plane crash was pilot error, but when they recovered the black box recorder and could listen to the conversation happening in the cockpit, it was clear what the real cause was. On the recording, you could hear the co-pilot asking questions about a problem. There was ice on the plane. So the co-pilot was saying, "Hey, geez, there seems to be a lot of ice back there. Oh gosh, you see that ice back there, pilot? It's a false sense of security, isn't it?" He was hinting around the problem, but he didn't come out directly to challenge or give feedback to the pilot. He didn't say, "Hey, pilot, I don't think we should take off because of that ice. It is not safe." Now, hopefully, the feedback conversations that we're having at work don't have disastrous consequences like a plane crash. But there's no doubt there are probably thousands of conversations that aren't happening. People at all levels in an organization dread giving constructive feedback, even though it's meant to help someone grow. They dread it because they know people often react defensively, emotionally, and negatively to feedback. Yet, studies show that people want feedback. In fact, many studies suggest that people actually prefer constructive feedback to positive feedback or praise when they're asked. And every time I speak to someone about feedback that they have for someone, it's clear that the intentions behind it are positive and generous. Feedback is a gift. It is meant to develop and grow the other person. It helps to improve relationships or to avoid challenges in the future. When we can be really clear about the purpose of feedback, why it's being given, that can start us on the way to an effective conversation. But why is it so difficult to receive feedback? The brain was created to protect us. Thousands of years ago, we were running from saber-toothed tigers or from enemies. We had so many threats to our lives and our physical well-being, and our brain was programmed to scan our environment every 5 seconds for threats. Now, today, we don't have those same kinds of physical threats, but our brain hasn't stopped scanning the environment. And the Neuroleadership Institute has found that our brain responds to threats to 5 specific interpersonal things just as negatively as it does to threats to our personal and physical survival. The 5 things spell the acronym SCARF: status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. So when you think about receiving feedback, it actually threatens all 5 of those things that our brain is watching for. It's a threat to our status because when someone gives us feedback, it almost knocks us down a notch on the ladder. It gives us the sense that our status is lower than theirs, which isn't actually true. It's a threat to our certainty. We thought we were doing the right thing, and now we're being told to correct something. How can we be certain? It's a threat to our autonomy, choosing what we decide to do, how we decide to behave at work. And someone's now giving us feedback to change that. As far as relatedness, it certainly causes some friction in relationships with that person. And as for fairness, we often don't see feedback as fair, especially when it challenges our point of view. So it's easy to see how feedback can cause that sort of defensive reaction in people in a natural, automatic way that we're not even consciously aware of when it happens. So whether you are delivering feedback or receiving feedback from someone, getting clear about the purpose of the feedback, remembering that feedback is a gift meant to help us grow and develop, and being aware of the brain's natural defensive habits can help us to be effective in those conversations.